Hi everybody, it's Sarah, and it's Monday's New Hope, and today I am talking about a topic that's sort of loosely connected to what we were talking about last week. And last week we were talking about people who made a difference in our lives and in recovery. And I think that, the topic that we're going to talk about today is kind of a little bit abstract, so I just want to bring it back to how is it actually tangible and how is it actually focused on recovery. And I basically want to underline the fact that the best cure for an eating disorder, hands down, other than food, because food is important, but the best cure for an eating disorder is self-acceptance, and then eventually self-love. Because your body is not the problem. It never was, it never will be, and that's just pretty much, that's it, no matter how you cut it. And I think that when you get to a place where you do self-respect, you self-accept, and you self-care, it really doesn't matter what your body looks like, because you just respect it as the really incredible home it is to someone that you're quite fond of. So, the ideas that we are talking about today, and Jen came up with them, so I'm not really sure where she wanted to go with the direction with that, but a lot of times during recovery, we are revamping, if not completely building a new self-image. One that isn't based on body image, one that isn't based on anxiety and insecurities and all that. And as such, I think that we look to people around us for, guidance and direction. And so one of the questions that Jen had asked us was, what's the difference between idealizing and admiring someone? And for me, the difference, nobody hangs around people that they find annoying, or that they can't respect, or that they find degrading. We're not wired as humans to do that. The people that you are hanging around with, you hang around them because you respect them, you admire them, you enjoy their company, all that kind of thing. So, of course, you're going to want to try and pick up some of that in your social dynamic, and there's a whole bunch of really neat studies out there where they find that the people that you hang around with the most often, you often pick up words of their own vocabulary and everything like that. So, the process and the journey through who we are is always influenced by the people around us. And I don't think that's a bad thing. And I think this is where Jen was going with this, is you can get lost, and in that foundation that you're trying to build that self-confidence on, and that self-image, and that self-respect and acceptance, you can either undermine it or you can build that foundation. And admiring someone can build that foundation. I have friends where I'm like, oh my god, they're so much more social than I am, they're really funny, they're witty, they're cute, and I'm just like, and I am never, ever gonna get there. And that's okay, because it's not in my makeup to be that way. There are other things that I have to offer the world. That doesn't mean I can stop appreciating those things that I want to hang around with, or even start integrating certain parts of it in my life. If there's a really good joke, or if someone, brushes off a situation that might have really bothered me, but they do it in a really clever way, and I think that might work, I can do that. That's really healthy. But when I start painting this picture of this person as perfect, as someone who has her life together, as someone who I basically want to be instead of me, that's when you can start to undermine that foundation to your confidence. One of the things that I remember is a lot has come easily to me. I was athletic. I'm very academically inclined. I was generally quite popular. I wasn't bullied or anything like that. And I remember that there was this girl in school, and she would literally follow my every move. And she would basically try to emulate, not facets of my personality, but me totally and entirely. And it was very, very annoying. And that's something that I don't want to say, I know it sounds so conceited to say, but it's something that's come up a couple of times in my life. And the reaction when people are like, oh, well, imitation is the perfect form of flattery. Well, I'm going to challenge this, and I'm going to put it the other way around. One, I find it annoying because there's nothing wrong with you, and the world needs someone like you, or you wouldn't have been here. So when you start taking aspects from the people around you and trying to be that against all sort of inclination and instinct to be something different, then you rob the world of something that it needs. And two, I'm like, that's really something you need to consider before you start idealizing someone and trying to integrate basically their entire life experience into something that you want for yourself. But basically, the other thing is that and this has come up recently for me, when I get to the point where people are like, oh, I wish I was you, I wish, I could do this and this and this and this and this, and I wish I had this attribute, and blah, 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 and you're such an awesome person, and it's great. It's very nice feedback to hear. And I love that you are so honest with me about that, and I love that you can tell me that. But I'm also sitting there going, oh my God, I feel like a farce, because my life today I've worked hard for, and I have been to hell and back for, and to hell and back over another 5 or 6 times. So I'm kind of wondering, like, what the hell am I showing you that I'm basically lying, because you don't want to learn the way that I did. You don't want to go through what I did. You don't want to be the person that I am, because there's a story before that. And I guess that's what the difference is for me between idealizing and admiring. It's one thing to say, you know what, I think you're really clever, I think you're really smart, I think that you're really funny, I think you're really outgoing, and I'm jealous of that, I'm envious of that. That's fine. And it's even like to sort of start integrating aspects or jokes or experiences or something that you really admire about that someone into your own being is fine. But when you idealize someone, you lose sight of the fact that they're also human, and that is a very lonely experience, because you have just basically painted yourself into a corner and been like, I need to be this person that's practically perfect in my mind, and you're not considering that that person also has their own issues, their own insecurities, their own flaws, and it can be a lonely experience for you, and it can be a lonely experience for the person that you're trying to idealize as well. When you idealize someone, you leave virtually no room for the benefit of the doubt, and we all need that because we're all human. Like I said, I find that idealization can be really annoying, because there's nothing wrong with you. You have something that the world needs, or you wouldn't be here. And I think that when you try and mask that with things that you idealize about someone else, you rob the world of that opportunity to get to know who you are. Can you integrate certain things that you like about people? Can you make improvements on yourself? Yes, but don't neglect yourself. And definitely don't deprive the opportunity of other people to be themselves, because when you cut it, the very bottom line is that we're all human. And when you start to focus on someone's strengths, and only that, the way you do through idealization, and you lose sight of the fact that they're human with their own issues, it gets lonely for you, and it starts to get really superficial for the people around you. And I, having been on both ends, I'm guilty too of trying to be different people, or be more like someone than I'm naturally inclined to be. I can tell you it's a very lonely experience, and recovery is one that isn't. And I think that as long as we embrace recovery as our distinct perfect, in the sense that there's nothing that should be changed unless we decide to, personal selves, you don't really get anywhere. And then, that's the other thing, is that Jen had mentioned, what's the difference between connection and attachment. I think that connection is that same place, that same sort of authentic feeling, that authentic, genuine acceptance of yourself, and a relationship where you can connect with yourself, but also connect with that person's essential self, which is flawed, which is, has self-esteem issues, which has, insecurities. And I think that once we consider all that, and you can embrace the entire picture of who that person is, then you can truly connect to them. And if you don't, then, and you just start to depend on them instead of really experience who they are, I think, again, you're sort of locking yourself into that idealization phase. And it can feel very one-sided. And one of the best things for recovery is fulfillment and meaning. And you can't find meaning and fulfillment in your relationships if you're attached to people. The idea of being attached, in that you can't live without someone, or you can't live without their presence, or that it makes you very, very anxious too, or that you don't feel like you are yourself around it. Again, you're depriving the world of the real authentic you, and you're failing to connect to the real authentic other people as well. So I think that those 4 words are really, really interesting in terms of idealization versus admiring. When you admire someone, you appreciate their characteristics, you appreciate their presence, you appreciate their company, you appreciate their being, but you don't lose sight of the fact that they're not better than you, that they're not worse than you, that they're just different than you. And for me to try and integrate some of the, the qualities that my friends have, super outgoing, super cute, super, that kind of thing, I don't know that it would fly with me, because that's just not who I am all the time. You can't see just one aspect of the picture, because if you don't see the whole picture, then you're seeing a lie. And when you admire someone, you're not losing sight of the whole picture. You're just choosing to celebrate a really pretty part of it, or a really awesome part of it. And I think that that's important. And then the other thing too is when you are so busy being outside of yourself, and when you're so busy trying to idealize and emulate certain people that, might not fit with who you are, and you lose track of your own authentic being, you can't connect. And when you can't connect, you get very, very lonely, and you can't make any headway on that foundation, that ultimate foundation that you need to for confidence. I have absolutely no idea if any of this made sense. It's kind of late. I should probably do this on Tuesday or something instead, so I actually post it in time for the day. But yeah, I think it's just about being at peace with where you are. And you can admire someone, and that can be healthy. And you can idealize someone, and that's not usually healthy, because you're not considering everything, and life is made up of everything, not just the parts you want to see. And then when you attach, because you can't accept the entirety of it all, instead of connect, then you get robbed of some pretty awesome experiences. In any case, I want to say goodnight, and I hope that you all have a good week. Please take care of yourselves. You totally deserve it.